In rural Shropshire, close to the border with Wales, is hidden the most fascinating of historic homes.
Today, I am at Pitchford Hall, and Pitchford is considered England's finest Elizabethan half-timbered house. It was actually lost by the family in 1992. However, they managed to get the house back 25 years later.
This is an extraordinary story of heartbreak and stoic determination.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
With her husband James, Rowena Colthurst, whose mother inherited Pitchford in the early 1970s, has worked tirelessly to get the family home back. But now, they're faced with the enormous task of recovering the building from years of neglect.
This is incredible. When I think of England, I think of green and houses that look just like this. Of course, it pulls at my heart because Hinchingbrooke, we had to do the exact same thing. The house was sold in the 1950s and lost. This family, Rowena and James, managed to get their family home back, and I can't wait to find out how they did it. When I married into the British aristocracy, it was the start of a wonderfully exciting journey. But it was also a little daunting. I became a Viscountess, and for an American girl from a small town outside Chicago, that was quite a shock.
I live with my husband Luke, heir to the Earl of Sandwich, and our family at Mapperton House in Dorset.
Living in a place like this is a joy, but also a challenge. And every day we're aware that we're preserving a very special part of Britain's heritage. Mapperton has opened up an extraordinary new world for me, and I can't wait to share it with you all.
So if you love castles and manors and stately homes as much as I do, please join this American Viscountess as I journey into the British countryside in search of some of Britain's finest historic houses.
So good to meet you.
So nice to meet you, so nice to meet you. Hello, I'm Julie.
This is Edward.
Hi, Edward. Hi, so, and who's that?
Doggy.
Doggy, love it.
Welcome.
It's amazing to be here. Are you gonna show me around as well?
Yeah.
Yep, perfect. Oh my goodness.
At the heart of the house is the Great Hall, where Rowena vividly remembers her mother's presence and tells me how the house was lost to the family in 1992.
We used to have a settle here where my mum used to love sitting. She'd be draped in cat, sitting there as close as possible to the fire. And that was basically a roaring of laughter, smoking lots of fags. I mean, absolutely outrageous. She was such a character.
Oh my goodness.
I can picture her there right now.
That's amazing. So you obviously grew up here. And then in 1992,
my parents just literally, it felt like overnight, suddenly told me they had to sell Pitchford, and my mum was the first person in the entire history of Pitchford since, you know, the medieval times to ever have to sell. And so it was absolute disaster, but they were Lloyds of London victims,
yes.
Both of them, same names in the disastrous syndicates. I mean, it happened so fast, I couldn't believe it.
Oh my goodness. So when they called you and told you, I mean, do you remember that feeling?
I remember it so well. I mean, James would tell you as well. I was sitting on the windowsill in floods of tears. And the incredible thing was my husband is just as passionate about Pitchford as I am. Obviously, I was lucky enough to grow up in this idyllic house. But he immediately is a very positive person. He took me to this old oak tree and we made a vow there and then that we'd try and do everything in our power to get the house back again.
Oh my gosh.
And it took us 25 years of trying to get the house back, and here we are.
Here we are. Oh my gosh. I mean, Rowena.
And to see Edward and Serena and Georgiana growing up and having the wonderful opportunities that I used to have,
yes.
That's what really moves me. And people have been unbelievably positive, and it's such a story of hope, and it's been the most incredible experience.
Oh my goodness. So you spent with James 25 years doing everything you could to get this house back.
In 1992, after valiant efforts to try to save Pitchford Hall for the nation, including debates in the Houses of Parliament, nothing could be done. And in September that year, the hall was sold.
So there was all the contents had to be sold, so Christie's were kind of all over the place, like putting stickers on all our things. James and I were here taking stickers off. Meanwhile, my parents have completely distraught and have gone off to Mexico. I mean, it was just appalling.
Oh my goodness, Rowena.
The house got sold, and in 1992 was probably the worst possible time to sell a house given the sort of state of the economy and everything. They sold it for under $1 million, like 700,000. I mean, nothing. They also had to pay back every penny we'd ever got for the roof, the 200,000. My dad had, English Heritage gave us an amazing 80% grant for the roof. We had to pay that back. And then all the contents got sold through Christie's.
Through Christie's. And who bought it?
So in the end, there were a few people who were interested, but the best option my mother thought was this Kuwaiti princess, because at least she had lots of money and she talked a good game in terms of wanting to do lots of things to it. And she was, of course, interested in the stable yard, but she really wanted to loves horses, not houses, is my suspicion. Yeah.
Right. So she was here really for the stables.
She really wanted the stable yard because she had an Arabian stud farm, and that was the thing that was really important to her. So she didn't want the land. So we kept the estate. She had a ridiculous situation where we had all the estate, 1,000 acres or whatever, but minus the house.
From the moment the house was sold in September 1992, Rowena and James vowed to somehow, one day, get the house back.
I really hope my mum would be happy to see us here today.
Oh my gosh, she must be, jumping up and down for joy in greener pastures. I mean, that is what a story that you got. I mean, but just the determination that you and James had to get this back.
Pitchford traces its roots as far back as the Roman period, and you can really sense the layers of history here. Out on the estate, there's a special place where Pitchford derives its name.
So basically this is the kind of most incredible thing. There's a natural phenomenon of pitch, like black sticky bitumen, you won't believe this, seeping up through the ground, and that is why it's called Pitchford, because when I show you this incredible pitch well, it's next to the forge, and I was always told that it's a sacred place, and that's why there's this incredible aura of goodness around Pitchford.
Oh my goodness!
Here we go, this is the pitch well, but it's so cool. So I still get excited by this every time, and I've done this thousands of times.
This is the pitch.
Wow. Basically this.
Yes.
You're going to see. Look, can you see? Can you see? There's so much of it.
There is.
Don't you think this is crazy? And it's just. And if you smell it,
it smells
oil.
Oil. Yeah. That's exactly right.
Natural oil. And they think that. So there is a lot of Roman stuff around here because we have a Roman road going through the estate, and we're part, a tributary of Watling Street.
Right.
And they think the Romans would have got so excited when they found this pitch that they might well have built a temple under the church. So we don't know for sure. So that's another thing to be discovered, layers of history.
Yes.
And so there we are.
This is the pitch well, but is the pitch everywhere, or is it just
here?
Just here.
Just literally here. This is it.
I'm always fascinated by how these houses have their names, the origins of them. And so the pitch there, and then we're coming up to the ford here.
The ford, and then there's the Pitchford family who were here in the medieval times, and the Pitchford church was built by one of the Pitchfords, and the Pitchford medieval house is under the Tudor house. And there's a crown post in the attic that I'll show you that proves that it's the medieval house that the Pitchford family used to live in. So we feel very much that they're an incredibly important part of the...
Of course, well, of the story. So underneath the house that I see now, this Elizabethan half-timbered house, underneath is the medieval.
The guts of the, a proper kind of open fire, the classic medieval hall.
Wonderful. Yeah. And then when exactly was the house that I'm seeing now, when was that built?
Yeah, so my understanding, so there was a rich wool merchant called Thomas Otley. So in those days they make incredible fortunes
Yes.
and will, believe it or not. And he bought the house, in the estate in 1473, but obviously didn't start building the house really until about 1549, I believe he started. I'm very excited to show you. This is a door that we always used to use. I mean, obviously that's the front door where guests and things come if there's a party, but this is like the normal door. That's my bedroom up there with the bars and the window.
Yes, yes.
To stop me falling out.
So when you got the keys to the house, so this is 2016, September 28th, 25 years later, you get the family house back. You work so hard, you buy it back. And is this the door you went through, or was it, what happened?
No, so this is the door, and basically, I bet I was shaking so much that you can imagine that I couldn't get the key in the lock. And then I was like crying, half with joy and half with laughter and half with, I don't know what emotions were going on. It was absolutely crazy. But I was like literally shaking. Here we go. So come on in. So this is, oh my God, my usual front door. These are the stairs to my bedroom, this wonderful cantilever staircase where my mum kept all the millions of tins of cat food for our 3 cats.
So you walk in here, you get the keys.
This is the very first room I went into. This is our old anti-kitchen. And this is, again, where we used to have breakfast. But the first thing I saw was obviously the ceiling had collapsed, and that was like, oh my goodness. Part of me is thinking, having flashbacks, because basically this is one of my favourite rooms. It had beautiful copper pots and pans all around the room, all got sold at the Christie sale. We've no idea who bought those. This incredible, range, which is very similar to the one at Hampton Court. I don't know, there's so many different feelings, but the most ridiculous thing, and this is what really moved me, is there was a newspaper, my mum and dad's Telegraph newspaper from 1992, still sitting in here. It was just there.
No.
Time had stood still.
No.
It was insane.
So you walk through here and
there's this newspaper.
And there's this newspaper, 1992. Oh.
Just still sitting there.
But just still sitting there.
Hadn't moved, just where my parents left it.
As we explore, what's clear is the enormous project Rowena and James have on their hands. But by opening up part of the house as a holiday let, they hope to fund the repair and restoration of some of these rooms in the former servants' quarters, which hark back to a different era.
There would have been gardeners and butlers and fishermen.
Yeah, of course.
Any number of incredible maids and wonderful people. This was the luggage room to the left here, just an entire room just dedicated to suitcases. I am really embarrassed to say this used to be my kind of fun room, and I don't know what possessed me to paint it this colour, but as a teenager I thought that was the thing to do.
So you painted this bright red colour. How old were you when you painted it?
When I was about 13. I thought it was super cool. I had my record player up here. Fantastic.
So this was for you growing up. What did this room represent?
Yeah, this was my own space to have, my friends and just kind of do whatever I wanted up here.
So, but was it nice to see, I guess in one sense, when you came up after 25 years, at least the red was still here?
The red was still here, I know.
The red colour.
And then I also loved this room for a different reason, because I was always told that there's this lovely little cubby hole with the window, and then my mum's psychic friend came, and he said that there were these maids totally overexcited because they see that their master's coming home for Christmas.
Right, wait, so these were the ghosts. I am always fascinated about ghosts because we do have one grey lady in the Tudor room at Mapperton, but how many ghosts do you think you have here? Good ghosts at Pitchford.
So this will make you laugh. So this is a direct quote from my mum. She was told that the entire house was stuffed full of ghosts, and they were all very lovely ones.
And they were all very lovely ones.
Edward was saying, yes, I have smelt. So my step-grandfather smoked these incredibly pungent cigars or cigarillos from Latin America. And so very often you get a whiff of the smoke. So I totally smelt that, and that got really excited when I was 13. I smelt the smoke, and then you go running off to tell someone because you're so excited. By the time you come back, nothing.
Nothing, right.
And then Edward, I was in the Great Hall when you saw. Well, tell Julie what you saw.
Well, the first time I saw a ghost was when I was about 4, and like someone who was doing work on the house had like just left. And then I saw this black figure, and I was like, I said hello to it, and like, it just paused, looked at me, and then like just carried on walking outside of a door. And it looked like Darth Vader. And
then you thought he was a bit rude because he wasn't talking to you. I remember that.
For some reason, like ghosts don't come where there's like for more than like one person. I mean, that's what they usually like to do. I mean, they're walking around when like there's no one there because they know that no one's going to see them.
Right, exactly. And then maybe they think of like children as won't get as scared, so they come out, whereas adults can get, I think, a little, I think you're right. It's a good theory.
Quite shy.
Yeah, that's a good theory. So, Edward, do you ever come up here and play a little bit of hide and seek? Or Nope. Nope. What do you think of the red color that your mommy painted when she was 13?
So embarrassing.
A bit too red.
I don't know what possessed me.
I think it's brilliant.
I thought it was so cool at the time.
But where are we in the house? Obviously, the servants used to be the servants' quarters, but not when you were growing up.
Yes, it's really the Victorian wing, and the way I would best describe it is the classic Tudor part is an Elizabethan E-shaped house, and then they added a servants' wing on, and it became an F-shaped.
So, how many rooms in the house are there?
Yeah, it's an excellent question, and I think it's partly a subjective answer, but I'd say maybe like 40 or 50 rooms, but now there's 52 because I discovered 2 more rooms, which I didn't even know about when we got the house back and went round with the children because they obviously wanted to see every single room and explore every inch of Pitchford. Careful of the dodgy floorboards.
I will be careful of the dodgy. Look at
these. Look at this. This is what this is like. You've seen this. We've got an insane amount of work to do.
The ceiling, yes, the ceiling everywhere. But there's something. I know it looks like the ceiling's about to collapse, but there's something rather beautiful about it.
I completely agree. I mean, my husband's nephew got married at Pitchford recently. The first wedding we'd had since the house had come back. So. In 25 years, and Gabby, his beautiful wife, had wedding photos taken here, and they looked fabulous.
Yeah, it's very, I mean, this is what people want. They want this sort of rustic, run down, shabby chic. The ceiling's about to fall through, but this obviously is a lot of work, though, when you want to.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is a huge amount.
This is a massive amount of work. All right, so what room are we heading to next?
Really, really want to show you this special room. So this is what I was always told. My mum was always fascinated by all the ghosts and everything. We always had lots of wonderful psychic people. And so I was always told that this room in here is unbelievable. It's got the lady.
I can feel it.
It's got a special. You always feel like
I can feel that.
Energy.
I'm walking into the room now.
It feels different, doesn't it? Oh my God, I feel things tingly. It makes
I can feel it.
So bizarre.
Is this weird?
It's so bizarre. So the lady who's in here was like the head servant lady, and she was just apparently this life force, incredible woman, power, positivity, and she loved protecting the house. And apparently there's an aura of goodness that protects the house. Oh. And this is you can actually feel.
You can feel it.
Energy.
You can feel it, and I love that the room is this pink color too, because it's sort of a happy color. Well, it is a happy color.
That looks fun.
This looks like an old fuse box here. I heard the clicking, and I had to look over. It's an old fuse box, obviously completely detached. That looks like a fun project. I think that you can already tell. I've only been here for half a day, and I can already feel the good energy, not just in this room, but all around. Yeah. All around, you can feel it.
And my great aunt taught me to do water divining, and there's just so many incredible things that happen in Pitchford, and people just feel alive and happy.
I'm just about to meet Rowena and James.
and it's a beautiful day. I can see that they're waiting for me there. Oh, they're so lovely. They have some wine waiting for me.
We're meeting at the Orangery, which is one of the first buildings James and Rowena restored when they returned to Pitchford.
Can I first, I'm gonna do lots of these, so I'm gonna do one right now because I feel really honored to be here, I have to say. And just, your story is, I mean, it's one of a kind, remarkable story. And it really sort of tears at your heart when, you know, when I was walking around with you today.
Yeah.
And just,
I think we can hardly believe it ourselves.
do you still feel sort of 5 years on?
We do. You still kind of pinch yourself at times and think, look, you know, it's been 5 years, but that, you know, I think it's really important to have that sense of excitement and keep on having that sense of excitement. If we ever take Pitchford for granted, that's a complete disaster. So yes, but you do now and again have to remind yourself of that initial kind of excitement when Rowena walked through the door, you know, after 25 years.
Yeah, you made this pact. You were going to do everything you can to get Pitchford back. And those 25 years, can you just talk me through really the ups and the downs of it? And did you really feel you could do it?
Look, I think there were absolute times when we thought we can do this. And at absolute times when we thought it's just never going to happen, not hope in hell. So it went in kind of waves. Sometimes we felt kind of confident there were things that were happened.
Right.
Sometimes we'd hear kind of gossip from, you know, let's say the village or something, and it looked like it was possible.
Right.
And other times, we just thought it's never going to happen, and we should forget this kind of dream. But we never quite did. We always knew the estate was a brilliant platform to kind of launch, you know, potentially a bid for the hall. So we spent those 25 years building up the estate, doing up derelict buildings, farm buildings, and turning them into kind of holiday cottages.
Yes.
Trying to make, you know, essentially the funding that would then make going for the hall kind of possible. So yeah, we did. We spent 25 years just building out that position.
Right.
And then it eventually happened.
Yeah, and working full time, both of you.
Oh no, that was a very, really important part of it.
Yes.
We spent most weekends out here, and what was absolutely brilliant is so many of our friends were part of that hope. So they'd come up, we'd start off with the lodge. My mum let James and I have the lodge as our weekend thing, and then we eventually turned that into a holiday let. That was the very first commercial thing when we, you know, after my parents and everything. But the joy of the friends willing us on is what I was thinking about, the impetus and everyone rooting for us basically, which was really special.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, it's the most remarkable, you know, story of saving and getting back the lost family home. Well, cheers to both of you, because this is just the start. I can feel that, and I cannot wait to explore more and see what you both have done.
Oh, thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Pitchford Hall, to me, is the most remarkable story I've ever heard of a historic house being saved by the family. I mean, it's inspiring to hear James and Rowena talk about the 25 years that they took and worked towards getting the family house back is inspiring in itself. But now they're on this different journey, and it's about getting the treasures back, but also making sure that this survives for generations to come. What they have done to save this historic house, it will be talked about for years and years to come.
Pitchford Hall is layered in history, with much of the building constructed in the 16th century, during the Elizabethan era, when this beautiful half-timbered style was the height of fashion.
I attended the first day of the sale. There were 2 days. There were 2 days, and I went to the first day, and everything, pretty well everything, was sold on that day, and everything would go out. Let's say that lamp or the cork cupboard would go out of that door, go into the marquee, go to the auctioneers, kind of thing, and the gavel would come down, and that was gone. And this is our kind of Bible of what happened in 1992 in terms of the Christie's catalogue.
Right.
And how many items are there?
I mean, it's a thick book.
Yeah, it's a huge
That is
book.
thick. So how many items in total?
1,047 lots.
1,047 lots.
So that's why it's 2 days.
Oh my goodness, that just gives me chills.
It was a bizarre atmosphere of, in a way, it's quite a social event because people were interested in what was happening at Pitchford, and you had hundreds and hundreds of people, and everyone, in a sense, wanted to kind of own a piece of Pitchford.
You're on a treasure hunt now. You've got the house back.
Yep.
You know, the house itself, the walls of the house back. It's now starting to fill it with the treasures that it once had. And what has that process been like?
Yeah, look, a treasure hunt is absolutely right. That's exactly what we feel. And I look at a piece of furniture just over there, and that came back from Shropshire. It was about 20 miles from here. It was owned by a woman who was downsizing, and she wanted it to go back to Pitchford. So, every room I go into now, I can see these objects from the treasure hunt that have returned.
How many of the 1,047 objects do you think you now have in possession?
I think it's probably only about 50. So there's a huge treasure hunt ahead of us.
For James, of the 1,000 or so pieces still to find, there's one in particular which he would love to see back at Pitchford.
There are a number of items that I feel really important to me, and there was one that was the cabinet table. So it was in number 10 Downing Street. It was used as Gladstone, the Prime Minister, as his kind of cabinet table, and it was given to, I think it was through the Lord Rosebery family, and Lord Rosebery family was a British Prime Minister, and his daughter owned Pitchford, Lady Sybil Grant.
Oh yes,
so that feels like, I'm very interested in politics. I work in politics.
Yeah.
Having that cabinet table back is really important to us.
And there's one painting by the early 19th century artist James Ward, which would have pride of place back here.
So it's only really good painting that has kind of Pitchford Hall in it. Now it's also got a horse, a beautiful horse, but obviously we're interested in Pitchford Hall. And this is it, in the Christie's catalogue, by James Ward, painted in 1822. I assume, and I'm not sure if the artist ever came to Pitchford because it's a slightly different landscape, but I assume he kind of romanticised the landscape. But the importance for us is just a wonderful picture of Pitchford Hall with the smoke kind of billowing out of the many chimneys at Pitchford.
Yes, but this horse, this is for me, this in one way or another represents the Kuwaiti princess.
It does,
and
it's so true.
And it's all of a sudden the horse is looking on.
Yeah, it's startlingly, it's incredibly ironic because it calls, the painting is a Bay Arab horse, and it looks exactly like the horses that the previous Kuwaiti owner had at Pitchford. And you're absolutely right, it's looking slightly askance at us.
As word gets out that James and Rowena are on a treasure hunt to restore the family collection to Pitchford, people have come forward with some of the pieces sold in 1992.
And there was one particular lady who said, look, I've got the painting, let's work towards you kind of getting it back. And these things take time.
Yes.
They're not necessarily easy. And the funding wasn't there. We didn't have the funding to pay for that painting. And amazingly, I did during lockdown, like you did. We did a few kind of virtual tours, and there was a man from Texas, from Houston in Texas, who we did a virtual tour with, and I mentioned the importance of the Jenkins and Barb painting to Pitchford, and he said, "James, I'll buy it back for you."
No.
Yes.
And you've never met him?
But he just said, look, James, I'll
oh my goodness,
I'll give you the money.
That just gave me chills. That is incredible. So where is the painting now?
We are going to going to hang it.
Hang it?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it here?
Yeah, it's in the porch.
So I get to, can I help a little bit?
Yeah, no, well, I'd love you to. I'd love you.
Oh.
We need it. It's quite
my
big. It's quite a big
goodness.
painting.
I am so happy I'm actually here on a day that, you know, a treasure gets to be hung and be seen. This is it, everybody. The moment has arrived. One of the big treasures is just about to come through the door and we're going to hang it. And this is so exciting for me and for James and Rowena. An incredible, incredible story of a treasure being recovered. Yay! Here it is. This is so exciting. Oh my gosh.
Here we go, Julie.
Wow. Holy cow. Oh my goodness. How do you feel, right?
Well, look, we've spent 5 years trying to get this painting back in to the hall, and it hadn't been in. This left in 1992. Okay, we're just going to hang it in the drawing room.
Yep, in the drawing room.
Very gently.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh, it's giving me chills.
But it's such a prominent
Yeah,
painting.
It is.
Okay, shall I?
Take one of those, that in there.
Yeah.
Other one.
I might learn something here as well, how to hang.
Well, Rupert's the expert, and has helped us kind of hang all the
Yes.
paintings in the house.
Now, do you want me to help at all? Do you need me to hold anything?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Just stabilize it would be
Okay. Let me just
great.
go here.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Ready?
Yeah.
Let's see. Hang on, let me double check.
Yeah.
Be on that J hook.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Oh my goodness.
It's 11 hooks.
Can I let go at the bottom here? You're fine. I know, you just... Oh my goodness. Okay.
It's best to level it by eye anyway, because nothing's straight in this house.
Exactly.
Okay, let's go back and see.
It looks, wonderful. Just, you know what, out of all the paintings that were sold in the Christie's, having this one.
Is that exactly? Exactly.
Now, because there's life in this house
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
And that represents the smoke coming out of the chimney. Life has returned.
Then I meet up with Rowena to visit someone very special who has kept the spirit of Pitchford alive for over 30 years.
So we're heading off to, is it Violet? Is that right?
So this is the North Lodge where Vic and Vi, very, very sadly, Vic unfortunately died quite recently, but we were so fond of him. But Vic and Vi have been here forever. They're absolutely salt of the earth, the most wonderful people. She's like my granny. And they used to look after us in the good old days when we had Pitchford. So they know my mum and dad. They call my mum Mrs. C, my dad Mr. C, and they're just brilliant. And I can't wait for you to meet Vi because she's such a character and she knows everything about the ghost, my parents. She's fabulous. There's Vi, there's Vi. Oh, hi Vi. This is Julie and this is Vi Roberts.
Hi, so nice to meet you. I've heard so much about you. We were just walking
I hope
down.
it was good.
It was all good.
Oh, good.
How long have you been here at Pitchford?
Since 1989.
Okay, right. So you've seen it when obviously Rowena's parents were here.
Oh, yes.
And then 3 years later, 1992, it was sold. And was that? Do you remember that happening and what was going on? And
It was horrible.
yeah, over those 25 years, who was looking after the house?
Vic and Vi, they were the custodians.
You were the custodians. So you would go in and do what you could just to make sure that it was still standing, really?
We couldn't do much because there was no furniture in there.
Right.
So there wasn't an awful lot we could do but fight dust.
Fight dust.
And that was a continuous battle.
Yes.
But apart from that, we kept the rats out and we kept the mice out. But
Right.
it was deteriorating rapidly. We could see it was breaking my heart
Yes.
to see it falling apart. Yeah, I kept saying to For God's sake, raise the money and buy it back.
Right. Did you think that that was possible? Did you think? Because when I was speaking to...
Oh, I knew they would.
You did, you did.
I'd got faith in them. I knew they would.
So how is it now just having Rowena and James's children around? So you've got Edward, Serena, and Georgiana. Is it feeling like, because of course it feels like it's back to life, but for you, having seen these changes, the sadness of the cell of the house.
Yes, but you do, you look positive now.
Yeah.
That's gone.
Yes, yes. I want to ask both of you, and it would be interesting to see if it's the same or if it's different. But if there's a room in the house that is just your favorite room. I know I have one at Mapperton. Mine is actually a loo.
I love that. I love that.
I'm obsessed with the Thunderbox loo room at Mapperton, and I think it's because as an American, we don't really have Thunderbox's loo, but all in that loo we've decorated with all of the Earl of Sandwich
Brilliant.
painting, well, sort of pictures if you like.
Yeah,
but is there a room in Pitchford that holds some great fond memories for you?
Kitchen.
Kitchen.
Definitely my
Because
kitchen.
I told you, the oven, the two ovens are still there, and I can still picture you making all that amazing food, and that terrible time where the whole thing roast fell on the floor. What happened there? That was a disaster.
Ponce beat me to it though, didn't he?
The Labrador.
The Labrador grabbed hold of this leg of lamb and took off with it. It was a nightmare. Luckily, I'd got another piece of meat in the fridge thawing out for it the next day, and I had to grab that and tell them lunch will be a little late.
For me, I think it depends what mood you're in. I mean, I love the attic, and sometimes if I'm in a contemplative mood, I'll go up there, or the great hall with that roaring fire, it's fantastic, or obviously my bedroom, my parents' room. I find it impossible to give one room.
It's so true.
And the Life Force lady room, I go in there, I love that one.
Yeah.
I love the whole house. I don't know
Of
what to
course
say.
Yeah, no, okay, well, don't. But you've given some great examples. I know it would be so hard. I think for me, because if I were to ask my husband the same question, if he had to pick a room, I think he would choose, like you, it just depends on the mood that he's in, because he grew up in that house. And what do you feel would be, I guess, a hope for you, and how you would see Pitchford in the future?
It's going to go from strength to strength, there's no doubt about that. But I don't suppose I shall still be around, but I'd love to see that little boy taking over here.
Oh, bye. Oh.
Yeah, I won't be around, but I'll be looking down.
Oh, bye. Oh,
Now I got tears in my eyes. Oh.
Yeah.
But you will be around. You'll just be in
A different place.
a different place,
Yeah.
but you'll still be here.
Yeah.
Pitchford Hall is layered in history, with much of the building constructed in the 16th century, during the Elizabethan era, when this beautiful half-timbered style was the height of fashion. It may look stunning, but it needs a lot of repair and restoration.
I hear you're going to be putting me to work.
Yes. First of all, we've got to spray down this exposed panel that's failed, because lime needs lots of water. So
Okay, so I'm just going to have you back completely up, because you're the professional and I'm not. Tell me a little bit about the history of this exterior and what it takes to repair it.
Well, this house has, been built over many years, but this bit's Elizabethan, this section.
Right.
And it's in a bit of a poor state, unfortunately.
Yes.
It's not much what was done for 20 years, so it's an ongoing thing. Every summer we start and keep going, and then down tools for the winter.
And here you are again. So how many years have you been working on
I've been on
Pitchford?
this for 5 years. I started on the medieval section, which is just over there.
Right.
Which has been turned into a holiday let.
Yes, yes.
So it can pay its way.
So you're now on the Elizabethan part of the house. And what are you doing exactly? What are you repairing?
I'm repairing all the plaster panels.
Right.
They've been repaired with varying different materials, so we're putting it back using the right stuff, the right techniques, so it will last, because the wrong stuff, like cement and other things, it just damages the timbers because the building can't breathe. That's why we use the lime. It would have all originally been lath. The brick infill was just done because it was easier.
Now
It's less
explain to me
time-consuming.
lath, because...
The lath is a wooden cut or split, and it's timbers like such as beech or oak. That's split, and you leave the small gaps.
Right.
And then you press the plaster in, and
Yes.
the plaster falls through the back, and we call those snots.
Okay.
In the thread. So they droop through, and then once it sets, that's the key. It goes rock hard.
And it goes rock hard.
And you build it up over layers.
Right.
Whereas the brick infill layer was done much later because it's easier. Because each slat has to be nailed in, and it's so. But the problem
Right.
that you have with the brick is it puts a lot more weight on the building.
So you're here on the Elizabethan part now. I see you've got, that's the lath there.
That's original. Because they are just hand split sections.
So you today, and well, for the past
Yeah.
5 years, you're taking off the paneling
Yeah, that's failing.
that's failing.
And where the wrong materials have been used.
Big question for you. Do you call them panels?
Yeah.
Yeah. How many panels have you restored so far?
I did the other side as well, hundreds. Yeah, hundreds.
And how many more do you have to go?
Thousands. Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot. It's all over. But we're just prioritising the stuff that's really failing, that's letting water in.
So you will repair all of that?
No, you will.
Are you going to put me to work?
Yes.
Okay. So what do you
First thing
need to
is-
do, and what do I need
first thing,
to do?
Lime needs lots of water because it's not like cement, which is a chemical reaction. Lime reacts with the atmosphere. So
Okay.
it needs to stay wet.
So my first task is to dampen the area we're going to be working on.
All of it.
Yeah.
Inside. So I can definitely see through here. I
Yeah.
can see the interior wall, right?
Yeah.
And then the space in between. How am I doing, Nick?
Good. Yeah, just make sure you get the edges of the timber because
Oh, yeah.
it's very dry timber and that will suck the moisture out of the plaster as
see.
it goes in and dry it out too quickly.
And what about the timber on the inside
That's fine.
there?
Just leave that. Don't worry
Okay.
about that. It will get wet, but it'll dry.
Okay. Okay. I see.
Then it's time to prepare the lime itself with one key ingredient which will help fix it to the timber.
Yeah. Well, lime's it's pretty strong, but we want to bind it together, and the hair, all the fibres, give it its strength. So even if it cracks, like you can see all these cracks, it won't fall out because there's thousands of hairs in there that just. It's like
Bind it
it's like
together.
fiberglass. So it's the
Right.
same sort of principle. So
Oh
here we
my
go. This is a lime plaster
Okay.
that was made from lime putty
Yep.
and sand, and then this is the hair here. This is
I had
you get it in
I
these.
had no idea.
You get it in these rounds. This is Chinese yak hair.
Okay.
Well, it's goat hair, horse hair, anything's good really. So what you have to do
Yeah.
is sprinkle it bit by bit.
Oh my goodness.
So if you want to, and then you have to hand turn it. You can't mix it with mechanically because the hair just binds round and you end up with a big like a fur ball.
And how do you know how much hair to put in here? Obviously a lot more.
Yeah.
You tell me. And can I just ask you now that we're mixing, how did you get into this line of work? Because, you know, the thing about
been
these
doing it.
historic houses
Yeah.
is the craftsmen. And you're far and few between these.
Well, I know. The thing is, I specialise because I just love old buildings. And
Right.
perfect place to work.
Perfect place to work.
Yeah.
We forget all these wonderful traditions and the way that things, you know, were made, you know,
I think we're
hundreds
ready
of
now.
years ago.
Scoop a little bit up.
Yeah.
You just get it on the trowel and you press that in gently. Because what we want to do, we want to press this through the laths so they form those snots, as we said.
Yeah.
And then just.
Yeah, I
keep
have to
going.
have you watch. You have to do it first. I've got to see
Okay.
this first.
Right.
I cannot do this by myself.
So I'll just get a little bit
I
on.
cannot mess this up. I'll never be asked back. Oh my goodness.
So I just wiggle it on. And it's the first bit you press in. So it's almost. So I know that that's gone through there because it's only very thin. And we'll add more to that.
Okay.
The plaster can't fall through because the hair is attaching it to the rest of it.
the rest
So even
of
when
it.
you've got big gaps there, it will fill it.
Oh my gosh.
So once we get it like that, we'll then build it up just a few more mil. And then you have a different type of plaster goes on the top.
And how long does it take for this to dry?
Well, it's not the drying we want.
Oh.
It's the chemical process. We want the carbonation to happen.
To happen.
So I'll be able to top coat this maybe in about 3 or 4 days.
Right, right.
So we'll cover it with a sheet. We'll wet the sheet too, because we don't want it to dry. Because if it dries, it cracks, and it literally will start to fall out.
Start to fall out.
Yeah.
I see. All right,
This is why people use cement to cut corners, because it goes off in a few hours and it's hard the next day.
Right.
Whereas this
takes 3 to 4 days.
You can't rush it.
Right,
Right. So I'll hold that.
Okay.
That's your...
Okay, oh dear. Okay.
Don't worry,
I can't mess it up.
I'll put some on your trowel for you then.
Okay. This is, I have to say, one of the most exciting things I've done. I know that sounds crazy.
So, like I said, just tilt it up when you get it on there, just...
And go up above here, yeah? Tilt?
Yeah, and just
Push it up.
gently push that up, that's it. Perfect.
All right.
And that's it, and you keep adding.
Okay.
And you build up the layers.
It's, you know, it's wonderfully soft. So do you want me to go up?
Yeah, keep going.
This is so much fun, but thank goodness I'm under the careful guidance of Nick, who specializes in these traditional techniques.
This has got quite a lot of hair in it, because we've got some big gaps here, and you can also use it to repair the holes in the timbers. So we'll add even more hair, because then this can be coloured and stained to match.
It's quite satisfying.
It is.
It's really satisfying. Sorry, that was a bit messy.
No, there's no, messy is fine.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Oops. Gosh, I want to make it perfect, but I guess it doesn't matter.
Sign your name in it, so put your initials.
Can I?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to do JH, everybody, for Hinchingbrook. Somehow Hinchingbrook needs to live on, so I'll sign it with JH, Julie Hinchingbrook. Oh my gosh, thanks. Thanks, Nick. It's rather exciting.
It's left for 3 or 4 days, then another layer is applied before it's covered in 5 coats of lime wash. You certainly need to be patient in this job.
What we were just doing over there is this finished.
When I apply the top coat.
When you apply the top
that's
coat,
right, yeah.
that is that finished.
Yeah.
And then you have to cover it up.
It's three processes really. It's base coat, top coat, and lime wash.
And lime wash, okay. Now you have, these are all covered up here.
Yeah, it's because it's sunny and it's hot.
Right.
And again, it's just like the lime wash because it's made from the same stuff. If it dries too quickly, it fails.
It fails.
And this will be soaked tonight with water, so...
So you'll soak it again with water. So should we pin this one
yeah,
back
I'll
up?
tack that up.
And these have all had the same first coat down here. These have all been first coated by you throughout.
Yeah, they were done today.
Right. So how much, so those were, you've done one coat, and then how long do you have to wait to do the next coat, and then the next coat, and then the next coat, till you get 4 to 5?
Probably a day or so, 2 days, I would.
Oh my goodness.
You can tell really. It's no, the elements decide it as well. So
Right.
you just got to.
Right.
Just
So it's
touch
a
it.
long process.
Yeah, and this is
Really?
why restoration is expensive, and that's why so many people cut corners using the wrong materials, because you could do this in cement and have it painted with a masonry paint in 2 days.
Right. Whereas this is.
It takes weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I also hear that there's another project that you're working on
Yeah.
that has a royal connection.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
Can I come visit you later?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the things about historic houses is that they usually come with a lot of other buildings. And back in the day, those other buildings would be used really for the family or for the staff, but times have changed. These historic houses have to find new ways to generate income. And so Here we are at Pitchford, and you can see I'm walking through what really were the old stables, but now they've been repurposed by James and Rowena into workshops. And I can really relate to this because it's the same thing at Mapperton. We have old buildings down there that we need to repurpose and use them in a way that will help generate income for the estate. So I'm heading now off to see a sculpture here, and I believe it's this one right here.
Hello.
Hello! Michael, I was told to find you here. I'm Julie.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. I've just been looking around the stable yard and how it's been repurposed into these wonderful workshop spaces.
Yes. I've been here 6 months or less in terms of actually working here, and in that time, all the other spaces have filled up. Right. So it's an incredible hub of people now, and it's just really exciting. You go outside the doors and you bump into the next person, and they're making something, they're creating something. So yeah, it's really filled up, and it's lovely place.
Is this your space to kind of create and
escape to and create? Yes.
So talk me through though the process.
It starts with a series of drawings, really. There's a lot of research that goes into the sculpture, both in terms of context, how it will sit in its final position, and also because it's St. Michael, the symbolism and key features that I might want to pull into the piece.
So how tall will the final piece be?
So the final piece is going to be 1.3 meters.
Right.
And
it's a little bit less than me, so that's quite big. There we go. Yes.
And it will actually stand a couple of almost, I think it's about 1.5 meters off the ground on a plinth, one side of the chancel arch for a church just outside of London.
There is such a creative community here at Pitchford, and wonderful spaces still to be developed and restored.
Where are we now?
This is where the farrier used to operate. No. There is talk of getting someone in to come and do and get it working again, but it actually does all. There's a small hole.
Look at this bellow. Is that a bellow?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Excuse the scaffolding.
Oh my goodness.
And obviously it was operated by Harry.
No.
And
look at this.
It needs tuning, but it does work.
Here, I'm going to give Harry's bellow a blow. Oh my gosh, I've never... Do these still exist, these big bellows?
Rare as hen's teeth.
That's what I was about to say. Oh my goodness. This is incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's the bench for...
That's for... there would have been an anvil in here as well.
Yes.
That's a very heavy duty.
Right. So this is an opportunity for an artist to come in here and...
Yeah, and maybe do courses in metalwork.
Do courses. Fantastic. That was fun. All right, I see some bits right there. Yeah. That makes me think...
Lime washing.
We're on to do some more.
Yeah.
So where are we heading to now?
This is Treehouse.
Okay.
And noted to be the oldest one in the world.
What?
The oldest treehouse in the world.
My understanding is that this was Queen Victoria.
When she stayed
here?
Yeah, when she stayed here. She stayed in the main house and
she took tea here.
Yeah.
And it's the oldest treehouse in the world.
It is.
And we're going to repair it.
Well, it's been unsensitively repaired in the past, so...
So you've got the scaffolding up, I see.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Similar work going on as down at the main hall that we saw earlier.
Ah, so you've got... Remind me what the...
That's lath.
Lath.
That's new stuff I'm putting in because someone had put steel mesh and had used cement. So I've removed that.
The tree.
Up.
Oh my goodness! And why is there metal?
There's lots of holes. I mean, it is like a zoo in there. There's that many animals living in it. So, and it's hollow. It's grown. It's fallen down.
Oh
it's
my
regrown.
goodness! But yeah, but it's still.
Yeah, it's a lime tree.
Yeah, it's lovely.
It's had a lot of mistletoe on it last year. It's all been removed.
Oh, it's beautiful. All right, should we go up?
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I quite like this scaffolding. I feel like I could do some acro yoga on this. Yep.
And I'll come on up.
Okay, great. Before we start to lime wash, There's obviously a drone right there.
Right.
You can wave to everybody. Because there wasn't enough room up for the entire crew. Right, so tell me, Nick, what we're going to do now.
This is lime washing. So as we said before, it needs 5 coats, well, 4 to 5 ideally. So this has had 1.
Right.
So it needs to be wetted down to help the chemical reaction, and then
we can paint it. Before we start, the one thing I do want to point out, which I think is fascinating for me to see, and I think probably for everybody else, is that you almost have the different stages here.
Yeah.
So you have the
This is oak.
Oh, this is oak, right.
From the estate, and then these are stainless steel screws.
Yep.
So there'll be no corrosion. It should not need repairing for a very long time.
And then this is what we did earlier on the house.
Yeah, that's ready for its top coat.
Right.
And then it'll need to be lime washed like these.
And right. Oh my goodness, because I can see the hair.
So if you want to give it a spray.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And you can see it'll start to look like this.
Yes. Yes.
So
you have 4 more coats really to do.
That's it.
Is that enough?
Yep.
And then
this is the lime wash. It's like the consistency of, like I said, single cream.
Yes, it is. It's exactly like
it
single
does flick
cream.
everywhere, so be careful.
Okay.
And then I work from the top because it drips.
Right.
Don't try and work it in too much because you can remove.
What has already, because it's wet.
Yeah, because it's the other one's still reacting. So I do that. If you want to have a go.
Okay, and you go side to side.
Yes, and just let it run down.
Okay.
So you start on the top and work your way down. It doesn't matter if too much of it goes on the oak, because when it's finished, we'll use a wire brush on all the oak just to clean it up.
I was going to ask you
so that will all.
Okay.
It's because it's so runny. It's quite hard to not get it on.
Yeah, it is so runny.
And it looks like you're painting nothing. It looks like you're not doing anything.
Weird. It has that lovely chalky look. Yeah. What do you think? Do you think I've done it?
That's it.
Should I hand you this? Do you want to go first?
Yeah, we'll just reverse what we did.
Okay, yeah.
Like many historic houses, Pitchford has hosted the royal family over the years. In 1935, the future King George VI and Queen Elizabeth visited, and back in 1832, the then Princess Victoria spent time here. James is showing me a very special room in the family wing of the hall where Victoria stayed.
I think it's wonderful, James, that you have this big connection with Queen Victoria.
Yeah.
You know,
So
she's the second most popular queen, right?
That's right. So look, this is where we think she slept. And you know, over the years, there are a number of kind of guides that have been done for Pitchford, and some quite a long time ago, obviously nearer her stay, and they describe, her being in this room, really, really well.
I'm just coming. I just love all the carvings. So
I mean, one of my theories is, I think that face looks like, if you look at what Queen Victoria or Princess Victoria looked like when she was a 13-year-old girl, when she visited Pitchford in 1832, that's what she looks like.
Right.
Now, so many people think I'm talking absolute rubbish here, but I think if Victoria had visited Pitchford, that's something you celebrate.
Of course.
And my view is that they have planted this on the fireplace, just as a kind of reminder, or kind of just remembering the fact that Victoria was in this room in October, November, on a cold nights in Shropshire in 1832.
There is a similarity to Queen Victoria. And we also have to remember that when royalty visits these historic houses, it's all about celebrating them and making sure that there's some type of memorabilia, if you like, of that visit.
That's
so,
right.
I look back at Hinchingbrook, and of course there's the bow window for Queen Elizabeth I's visit. And there it is, 1562. And it was made after she came, but in celebration that she had been there.
That's right. So that's why that's why I think
Right.
I'm right,
Yes.
but everyone thinks I'm wrong.
I'm going to agree with you. I think you're right.
Good. I think it was her mother who apparently drew her bed up towards the fire
Right.
to keep warm at night, and poor Princess Victoria was apparently pushed towards the end of this room, you know, where it wasn't so warm, and there's a little line on the ceiling, and what we think is there was another room, no windows, pretty airless, that Victoria, and very cold, that Victoria would have stayed in for the 5 nights she stayed at Pitchford, and then her mother had, you know, this room and
Right.
the kind of warmer
The warmer
room.
part, right.
And if you remember, there wasn't a great relationship between mother and you know, 13-year-old princess
Yes.
at the time, so that kind of makes sense to me. So just looking at kind of around the room, there are things that kind of, you know, helps you understand.
Yes, it helps you understand
the relationship.
I find it endlessly fascinating to read the architectural clues left in the fabric of these historic homes. And at Pitchford, there is a rare secret room called a priest's hole, where visiting priests would hide during the English Reformation of the 16th century.
Is it in here?
Yeah. I mean, you try and find it, but I'll give you a bit of a hint that it's in this kind of broad area.
But is there a door?
There is a door. Yeah, there is a door, and it's not a trap door. It's not in the floor.
Okay. Okay, I've got it. I think. Maybe.
You're doing well. There's a little lever to. Yeah, you're almost there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Oh my
that's
gosh.
It, that's it.
No. So this is the priest. Oh my gosh.
So it's quite a
No.
It's quite a large priest hole, or Pope's hole, as they'd be called. Go down.
Really?
Go down.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I'll hold the trap door.
Okay, hold me the trap door. Okay, everybody. I'm descending. The priest hole. Wow. There's windows down here.
Yeah. Okay, so there are very, very few priest holes in this country with, you know, windows.
Yes.
And we think it was. Rowan always describes it as kind of false window, so we think maybe it was boarded up, or there was some vegetation outside that basically disguised it. But I must admit, if I was in a priest hole and there were a whole bunch of soldiers trying to find me, I'd quite like an escape route.
Yes.
And this provides an escape route. But it is a vast, you know.
But
it's a
was
vast
this
priest hole.
created during the Reformation?
No, you're absolutely right. So there was a woman called Mary Otley who lived here in the kind of late 15s, early 16s, and she was obviously a recusant, and, you know, she worshipped the Catholic faith, and, you know, I'm sure she would have had priests there, and she needed to protect them, and that you know, that window I think is actually quite important.
Very important.
But they're very few. I think there are only about 3 in the country that actually have a kind of additional kind of access route. Normally it would just be a small priest hole, and you'd be claustrophobic. And you'd be stuck. If they found you, you'd be stuck.
Oh my goodness, it's incredible. It's absolutely, that was incredible. I mean, literally, first of all, I've never seen a priest hole in a historic house, so that was sensational, but also just seeing the windows, they're open there. Wow. I'm on my way to the treehouse. But again, this just isn't any ordinary treehouse. This is the world's oldest treehouse, and also in 1832, Queen Victoria wrote in her diary that she walked the grounds here at Pitchford, went up the stairs to a house on top of a tree. And that is where I'm going to right now. I'm gonna have tea with Georgiana, that's Rowena and James's eldest daughter, and I'm really looking forward to it. Hi! I gotta give you a hug. I've heard all about you from your parents, and then I also realized that you're the same age as my number 3. I have 4 children, and you're the same age as my number 3. So this is
such a magical place. I've already spent so much time here and still lots more to do, but this is a magical place.
It is, especially here, up in the trees.
I know, it's incredible. So Queen Victoria, she was actually here where we are now.
While you're sitting, Queen Victoria was in this area. So on the 27th of October in 1832, she was on her tour of the realm when she was 13, and she stayed at Pitchford for 5 days and then recorded the whole stay in her diary. And she describes going up to a little house in the tree, playing the harp with Lady Louisa Jenkinson, who lived in the house at the time, visiting the old dairy, and so it's just amazing to see into the life of a 13-year-old princess.
So was this treehouse already here?
So yeah, this is the oldest treehouse in the world.
Right.
So it was built between 1650 and 1670, and then it first appeared on a map in 1682.
You're kidding me. Oh my goodness. So I kind of feel very special right now because I'm obviously in the oldest treehouse in the world, and I'm in the treehouse that Queen Victoria was in.
Yeah.
So when you were growing up, you were told stories about Pitchford. So because obviously when you were born, it had been sold. Your parents only had just the surrounding estate. But what other stories, you were told obviously the story of Queen Victoria coming here, and that this being the oldest treehouse in the world. But what other stories were you told of here at Pitchford that you can remember before you got the house back?
Well, I've always been really intrigued because I would be hearing about this woman called Lady Sybil Grant, and so she was she lived in the house, but she didn't like the sound of running water, and she was afraid of being so close to the graveyard because of the ghosts. And so she converted the orangery, and she literally lived between the orangery and the treehouse.
You're kidding me. No. So she didn't live in that?
No, she completely moved out. Her husband lived, you can see his his room window through there.
Yes.
And she would communicate to him via semaphore or a megaphone through the window. And then
megaphone.
And then occasionally they would meet for afternoon tea on the lawn. But every morning her maid would bring up her boiled egg on a silver salver to the treehouse, so she spent a lot of time up here. So she was very eccentric.
Right.
And so also she dyed her hair with henna, so it was bright orange, and she would tell fortunes. So there would be fairs at Pitchford and she would tell fortunes on the lawn.
So you grew up with these stories being told to you by your parents.
Yeah.
And because obviously your mom grew up here, but you weren't able to go into the house.
No.
You just saw it from a distance.
So we would quite often walk past and we would see it over the river, and it would just be really dreamlike, I would always imagine what it would be like to live in the house, and my mum would just be telling me all these stories, and so it was always a dream to get it back.
Right, yeah.
It was like a childhood fairy tale, but I never thought it would actually happen.
Right,
And so now all the time my whole family have to completely pinch ourselves every day that we're actually here.
And were you here when she went into the house?
So basically we came back, the first weekend we got it back immediately, we came up, the whole house was completely empty, there was nothing, no electrics, no water, absolutely nothing, just cobwebs, layers of dust. And so, but we were determined to sleep the first night, so we all came. It was amazing, unlocking the door, I still remember. And then we basically spent the next few months mopping every weekend, and cleaning. It was in 2016.
Right.
So I'm 17 now. I think I was about the same age as Queen Victoria.
Right.
So I remember
feeling exactly.
connected to the treehouse whenever I was in there, thinking that she was my age when she'd visited, and it was really,
I love being in this treehouse and then hearing the stories of Queen Victoria and Lady Sybil, but I have to ask, once you got the house back, was this one of the first places you went to?
Definitely. I just love this. It's such a quiet space, but it's also you feel really connected because it's so old, and you think about all the stories of all the different people up here, and I think it's amazing. I like to come up here and read or have little tea parties. Yeah. And also the view. It's just you're able to look at everything and look back at the house. So I love it up here.
Now, I love a cold water dip. And for those of you who don't know about my love of cold water immersion therapy, let's just say I take every opportunity to plunge into freezing cold water. At Mapperton, we are restoring the 18th century pool with the generous donations from our patrons of Mapperton Live. And here at Pitchford, Rowena is taking me to the Victorian plunge pool. But just a reminder to always check with your doctor before you go wild swimming.
Oh,
Ta-da!
can't wait. This has your name written all over it, Julie.
No, I have to say, Rowena, when you told me that there was a Victorian plunge pool here, I immediately packed this, my swim cap, and my swimming costume, but I'm quite jealous of your swimming costume. You look glamorous. It's fashionable. What is that?
It's a Victorian bathing outfit, of course, an antique one I've got especially for our wedding night. In fact, the very last time I wore this, I went for a plunge in the pool, and this is the next time after that. I'm so cute.
That is, so this is your first time doing a plunge in a while,
Well,
right?
I'm not so mad about cold water because I'm rather thin like you, but you're much braver than I am. You're a wild swimmer. So it's basically spring fed, so it's literally like the coldest water. So I think it might be even more freezing than Mapperton. We'll have to see what you think.
The Victorian pool is a short walk away on the estate.
But we think it's built by Lord Liverpool, part of the kind of pleasure garden thing that he absolutely loved Pitchford and made it all singing, all dancing.
Right.
And his daughter was the one who's friends with Queen Victoria, so maybe they went for a dip, you never know.
Oh my goodness. I bet they probably did.
She didn't write about that in her diary, but I like to speculate.
I'll speculate with you. Yes, I agree.
I think this is literally the first time I've been in since my wedding night.
Yes! Good, I'm glad I could somewhat inspire you.
Georgiana and everyone, they go in loads. But so here we are. I can't wait to show you. It's literally the most perfect
Oh.
like, oval pool. We've got the plug and Pitchford.
This is the perfect plunge pool. It's perfect. Oh my goodness.
So the only question is, Julie, would you like to go on the right-hand side or the left-hand side, I think?
Well, okay, so I'll go down that step. We can kind of go down together. Remember, it's just a sensation, it's just a sensation, it's just a sensation, it's just a sensation. That's what I say to myself over and over again. As we go down, we're just sensation and breathing. It's just a sensation and we're breathing. It's just,
I'm going to get a yoga lesson on the way past the American.
Exactly.
I'm learning a lot here.
Just a sensation, just a sensation, just a sensation.
Just a sensation.
Breathe.
Just a sensation. Oh, wonderful. Boiling.
It's boiling hot.
This is a sensation. This is the first time I've been in since my wedding night. James, I did it.
Now, can you start to feel?
Incredible sensation against the
You're gonna have a nice facial.
I've got garlic, green garlic in my teeth.
What do you guys think? We did it! Yay! We did have an audience behind, which is great. But do you see how? Can you start to feel how
the sensation?
The sensation starts to come in, and then it's like amazing, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So I think we've done it. Is everybody happy?
Yeah. You are brilliant, you are brilliant. So excited to show you the attic, Julie.
Oh my goodness. You know, this is what I love about these historic houses. There's always attics and secret places. What do you guys think of this attic for hiding? Or is it too scary? Too scary. Too scary. This is incredible. Let me ask first and foremost, when you came back in 2016 and you came up to that attic, was this at least okay, as in?
More than okay. I mean, just so good to see it like this, because my parents spent 10 years doing the roof in the 80s, so the one fantastic, my parents' legacy was the house would have fallen down in 25 years if it wasn't for the roof. So to be able to come in here is very reassuring, and the green oak that was here originally, and it's just the guts of the house, isn't it? And as you can see from here, the other thing that reassured me was the bats are still here. And we had a plague of bats in the 80s, so it's nice to see the bats still around.
The bats were still around. I mean, absolutely stunning just to see this, that these have really survived for, gosh, Almost 400 years.
Yeah, yeah. Look how brilliantly they've survived.
Brilliant, but it's vast up here.
I mean, to think that the servants used to live out here. I mean, there are taper marks.
So that's why this was built for the servants to live up here.
And they hung their curtains on these poles.
No.
So when I see that, I kind of can picture an actual person, Downton Abbey style, up here.
Absolutely. Great. It's literally like Alice in Wonderland
Julie,
up here.
This is the clock tower that's so kind of prominent. You know, when you're on the south lawn and you're looking up to the house, and Edward's just testing it. So this obviously used to work. There's a mechanism which was just here, which is being restored at the moment, and then there are these huge kind of weights down there and a pulley system. And the date of, can we find a date?
I've already spotted it.
What was it?
Well, because it's 1776.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it?
So, but is that an American connection?
I don't know. But
because that's when we've really, we declared our freedom.
Yeah, no, I know.
1776.
I know, it's incredible.
We've got to do some research on this.
I absolutely agree. So anyway, look, it's been there. And we look, it's another job for us to get this kind of restored, get the mechanism working, get the kind of pulleys working, and get this, chiming out on the hour or every half hour.
And before we make our way downstairs, Rowena shows me a rare structural treasure of Pitchford's medieval past.
So this is the thing, so in the 80s they're doing the roof and there's huge excitement. They basically suddenly discover, if you possibly could shine a light, you will see a medieval crown post. So it proves that whole thing there at the back, the bendy bit. So that's where the Pitchford family, so this house is built on top of the Pitchford family house, which I love.
My goodness, so they discovered this when they were redoing the roof.
So we didn't even know it was here. We obviously had...
Yeah, I can see that.
We were very sure that it was likely, but no one had proof.
And then this is your proof right here.
It's basically here. Look, it's called a crown post roof, and very little crown post roofs survive because they're so incredibly old from the medieval times. But this is a little piece of history to prove the point.
Absolutely. I mean, wonderful. I mean, it's just, I mean, you'll have more and more treasures. I mean, don't you find that with these historic houses? I mean, I know you grew up here, but you still discover over and over again. You still discover.
We're learning all the time.
Yeah.
One of the first restoration projects the family took on when they moved back to Pitchford in 2016 was the summer house. No small task, as it had completely disappeared under a web of ivy and moss.
Well, I can see here that you've repaired this.
Yeah, you can also see all the woodwork.
Oh, the woodwork. I wasn't going to say anything.
That's right, so there's a bit more to do.
But this is one of the big restoration projects that you have completed. And what is this called again? Remind me.
So I call it the Pitchford Summer House.
Right.
And it's Edwardian. I think it's Edwardian.
Yes.
It's probably, we appear in Country Life in 1901 and 1917. Between 1901 and 17, it appears, the Summer House. And all these kind of red sandstone retaining kind of walls.
Right.
So quite a lot of work was done in the kind of early Edwardian ages. And this is, in my view, an Edwardian summer house. So it's a huge transformation. And one of the first jobs we did was actually get up on the roof. I remember with my father, who's 85 now, and we were just cutting back the ivy kind of on the roof to try and get things back so at least we could see what we had to restore. And the roofer has done a brilliant job. These are called Harnage stone slates. They're quarried about 3 miles away.
Okay.
They've got loads of fossils in them. They're absolutely stunning. That should give it 30, 40, 50 years of life, hopefully.
Exactly. And enjoyment for others. I mean, it is beautiful. But I know that this is not the only renovation that's been completed.
Yeah,
it's quite a big one coming up.
That's right.
Celebration.
No, there is a big one coming up. And it was inspired by someone who actually lives in a historic house about 10, 15 miles away from Pitchford, called Acton Round Hall. And he knew Pitchford very well when Rowan's parents owned the house. And he came to us about a year and a half ago and said, you need to restore the library. You know, that's your number one priority. And, you know, we've done it. And he came up with a design based on a garden in Hampton Court, a Tudor garden,
Right.
in Hampton Court, and it's well, you know, you'll see it soon. It's quite wacky. It's quite wacky.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I have lots of questions.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's quite out there. It's quite over the top.
I think it's absolutely brilliant. So when you got Pitchford back, what was in this library?
So this was very derelict. It was one of the worst. It's one of the worst rooms in the house, actually.
Right.
So that was it.
Oh my goodness, no.
Yeah. Everything was gone, and this is what it looked like in 1992. You know, when Rowan and his parents left it. So, you know, it was a nice country house library.
Absolutely.
And all the books were sold at the Christie's auction. And then, bizarrely, in the space between 1992 and 2016, all these book cases were stripped out. Oh. And we don't really know why. And that's why we ended up with, you know, a room that was, in a sense, a blank canvas, and allowed us to, you know, create this neo-Tudor Gothic library. A lot of people have said to us, if you have got a blank canvas, do stamp your own mark on it. You don't have to inherit kind of everything from other people's tastes, you know, Georgians, Victorians, Elizabethans, etc., etc. So we did feel we could maybe strike out in a slightly different direction, and we felt that, you know, this was a beautiful library, but we didn't really need to go back to that. But it was inspired by this man, you know, Hugh Kennedy, who you know, lives relatively nearby, and he said, this is where I think you should go.
Yes.
And
these are fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, those appeared about 2-3 weeks ago, and we had fun hanging them.
Lovely.
I mean, they're heavy.
Lovely. But here, right
heavy.
here, and I do see on each of the bookcases, you've got different sort of coat of arms.
So it starts with the Pitchford family in the kind of Crusader knight, and then it goes along to the Otley family, the Coates family, the Jenkinson family, the Grant family, Rowena's family, the Colthurst family, my family.
Right.
And we've even got the curated princess.
Do you?
Marked there.
Oh my
so
goodness.
we felt, you know, she was part of that line from 1280. So we wanted to, you know, incorporate everyone's coats of arms.
Every library needs good heraldry, so
exactly.
This is outstanding. It's fantastic. So there's obviously a celebration tonight. It's sort of the commemoration or the cutting of the ribbon.
It's to thank, you know, the volunteers essentially and the donors. So, you know, a lot of people who've donated money towards getting the library to this state, and a lot of people have donated their time in terms of painting.
Yes.
So through the winter, you know, those kind of long winter nights, there are about 20-30 people in Shropshire just kind of painting away.
Incredible.
And, you know, it's so kind of them. So this is a kind of thank you guys for being so incredibly supportive of, you know, the Pitchford restoration.
Yes.
Now, time to join Rowena and the family for some more fun on the water.
Here we are.
Yay!
So
You're in for a treat, Julie.
I'm really excited because I don't know anything about, do you call it coracling?
Coracling, you said it literally perfectly.
What is a coracle? And tell me about how this was a part of your growing up.
Oh no, absolutely delighted to. So a coracle, as you can see, is an absolutely fabulous, very simple fishing boat. So the essence was, this is an iron bridge coracle, so iron bridge obviously being in Shropshire close by, so it was quite expensive to go across the actual iron bridge, so instead they would have a cheap and cheerful way of fishing and getting across the river.
How easy or hard is it to fall in?
If you get it right and do the perfect figure of 8, which will be very, very simple to teach you, not a problem at all, not even a ripple. But if you get a bit overexcited and things, then they can tip over very easily, which is really great fun. So I used to have a great time tipping all my friends into the lake in my childhood. But I promise I won't do that to you.
Okay.
So you know that I showed you the pitchwell?
Yes.
And the natural bitumen sweeping up. So of course, look, these are tar-bottomed boats. They are literally, so they come, that's how you waterproof them. So every year we used to, the spring would come out, this amazing weather, exactly this time of year, and we'd retile the things all ready so they're waterproof, because obviously they start leaking otherwise.
Using our own pitch.
So basically we've got you absolutely got you a life jacket. I'm sure you're a brilliant swimmer, Julie.
So am I rowing?
So it's really a figure of 8, and it's very, very simple.
I just have this feeling I'm going to fall in. I just, when you kind of go into things like this with no experience, and you get this gut feeling that you're going to fall in, I think that's what's going to happen.
You're not going to fall in.
Okay, are you really holding on to this? Okay, so I'm facing out.
No,
Okay, here, oh yeah. Thanks, James. Okay.
You sit fine, so then you sit right in the middle, perfect balance.
Goodness.
Do you feel happy?
Yeah, I feel happy.
Okay,
now,
so are you
because I'm right
balanced?
by the...
Are you balanced?
And by land, I'm balanced, yeah.
Okay, and that's very gently, just don't do any sudden movements, you'll be fine. A little bit of a figure of 8.
Yeah, just build confidence.
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
They're much more stable than you think. It's really...
I'm trying to do what Georgiana was doing. Oh my goodness, this figure of 8. What?
You're doing brilliantly, Julie, that's perfect.
Is it, so I'm watching Georgiana. Edward, how am I doing? On a scale of 1 to 10. 3.
Okay.
Exactly.
Maybe you get in and show.
Okay, let's have a little, you're doing brilliantly.
Going in circles here. I mean, I got out here, so at least I didn't stay there going in the circle. I have to say, I found this incredibly restorative. It's wonderfully soothing. I loved it. I would do this every day for my mental health, every day. I loved it. I thought it was just brilliant. But now it's just getting off.
Yeah, okay.
Here we go. Thank goodness for James. All right, so you tell me when I'm good.
I would jump quickly.
Okay, great. Oh, gosh. Yes! Yay!
Bye.
Oh, I loved it. I really loved that, I have to say. I'm happy I had my life jacket on though, because Georgiana and Serena were telling me about the size of the fish in there. So I was happy I had this on. That was brilliant. That was so brilliant.
What better way to end my current visit to Pitchford Hall than to join the party celebrating the restoration of the library?
Just walking in here, you can't help but smile, because really this is Rowena and James's mark on things. They walked into this room in 2016 and it was wet and damp and empty and a clean slate, and they thought, rather than putting it back to what people expect us to do and what it used to be, let's create something that people will talk about. And that's what you want. When people come into these historic houses, you want people to leave talking about something. And I'm definitely, I definitely will be talking about this, and I bet you will as well, this extraordinary library that has been commissioned. And for me, the pieces that stand out are the chandeliers. I love the chandeliers because I love the contrast of this sort of very dark red and gold yellow with the blue and the yellow as well. And it's really rather wonderful.
We raise a toast to Hugh Kennedy and the King Henry Library and everyone who helped. Thank you so, so much.
What an amazing time I've had visiting Pitchford Hall. You can really sense the life and vitality returning to this historic home. Rowena, James, and their family absolutely love it here, and their passion and determination to restore Pitchford to its former glory and at the same time put their own mark on it is incredibly inspiring. Hello, dear viewers. Are you passionate about history and stately homes as much as I am? Then sign up for the American Viscountess newsletter. Here you'll get exclusive insider stories from my latest visits to castles, manors, and stately homes, and stay updated on all the exciting projects at Mapperton. You'll also get access to all of my blogs, like the recent Legendary Balls of British High Society. So don't miss out, subscribe today, and join our wonderful community of heritage enthusiasts. Athelhampton House is a Tudor manor house in Dorset in southwest England. In 2019, Giles Keating became its new owner, and one of his first restoration projects was to return the kitchen back to its Elizabethan origins.
Give it a good stir, and then 10-15 minutes, hopefully we can try it.
And then it's lovely and thick.
Looking for ways to live in a more sustainable and cost-efficient way in a historic house is a challenge. But at Athelhampton, this challenge has been met in a new and revolutionary way.
You would never guess that these were here. I couldn't see them from anywhere in the garden. Welcome to the drawing room here at Mapperton. And this is really the Tudor wing of the house. It was built in 1540s. And in this episode, I'm actually visiting a rather similar and wonderful Grade 1 listed 15th century gem of a Tudor manor house. And it's located in the heart of Dorset. Athelhampton is about 30 minutes from Mapperton. And do you know what's crazy is that I have actually never visited Athelhampton. So I'm really excited to see it because it is an extraordinary Tudor building. And if you're like me and you love the history of these buildings, well, you're gonna love this house. But what is even more fascinating is that the owner Giles actually bought Athelhampton in 2019. So it's not one of these houses that's been in the family for hundreds of years. So I'm really excited to see what he's done with Athelhampton. And personally, I feel that these new historic house homeowners bring their own inspiration and they inject new energy and ideas into these houses. But first, of course, I am really keen to hear more about the history of Athelhampton. Hello.
Julie,
hello.
Great to see you.
So nice
Hi.
to see you. I've finally made it after all these years.
It's so good that you're here, I know.
It's brilliant. So I was just walking up, of course, I've seen Athelhampton, photographed, all that, but now I'm here in the flesh. I'd love for you to just tell me a little bit about the fabric of the building. Is that okay?
It would be a pleasure,
I know it's
yes.
cold, so we won't stay out too long.
Let's come and do it. Let's go for it. So,
okay.
So here we are.
It's beautiful.
Yep. Now, the way I always like to describe this is this part here is the older part, 1485. So the Wars of the end of the Wars of the Roses, Henry VII, the first Tudor.
My goodness.
And then over there, you've got what I call the modern extension, built about 60 years later, the start of Queen Elizabeth I's reign.
Right.
They got a bit of money from knocking down some of the abbeys locally, and that was what they built.
And that was it,
Yeah.
and that was what they built. But what are the sort of the men perched on top?
So this is the Martin ape. So the Martins were the family who built this, and the ape is their family symbol. And you'll find it all over the house, yes. Well, if you're into medieval fables, you'll know there's the fox, Reynard the fox.
Yes.
And one of the characters in that is Martin's ape, who is actually the kind of the good guy. And here, look, you can see you've got the ape at the top of the tower. And on the other side, that's the unicorn. The poor thing has lost its horn. No. But because the very first Martins who built this married into the Farringdon family, and the unicorn was their family symbol. So it's the marriage of the ape and the unicorn.
All right, well, this is fascinating, Giles, because I think it's always really interesting, of course, when you come to these houses and to first look outside.
Yeah.
Because, there's so much going on in the inside, but looking at the fabric of the building and the carvings that were done.
So beautiful, and the stone is all local stone and so on, yes.
Yeah, it's just wonderful. Brilliant, brilliant. Well, I can't wait to see what's inside.
Come along in, out of the cold,
Brilliant.
Come on.
Isn't that fascinating? I mean, it really was the most perfect day to see Athelhampton for my very first time. And once I was inside, Giles was really keen to show me one of his first, and might I say, very big projects.
So Julie, here we are in the Elizabethan kitchen.
Oh my goodness!
And then what you see here, this amazing big brick arch. So this is where the cooking range.
Right.
And we've got a spit there for turning and roasting things on. And
it's incredible. But can I ask, Giles, when you came here in 2019, is that right?
That's right.
And was this one of your first big restoration projects?
Absolutely it was. I mean, I think when I first arrived, this was all covered, the bricks were covered in thick layers of paint. We had 1950s kitchen units right the way across.
No.
An old Arga that didn't really work very well in the middle, and indeed underneath the arch was all bricked in.
Ah, was it? So
yes.
you broke through here.
Broke through all of that, and there was some quite complicated engineering to hold it all up.
Yeah. So you've restored it back to, of course, the Elizabethan kitchen, what it obviously would have been. And it smells amazing, but it also looks like it was. I'm smelling something that's
Well, I was going to say, let me
made.
introduce you to Gemma, our head chef. So Gemma, Julie.
Hi, Julie.
Hi,
Right.
so nice to meet you. So now, what are you making here? It smells absolutely amazing.
So I'm making Tudor pottage.
Right, Tudor pottage.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that recipe. Obviously it's Tudor, but
Yeah.
it was popular.
Yeah, so it's popular. It is made out of vegetables. It's a vegetable stew. It's based on a French recipe, I think, originally.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me what vegetables are in this recipe.
Traditionally, the main recipe that we've sort of grown towards, because it's the most popular one, it has turnips, onions, parsnips, swede, carrots, which I don't think would have been orange then, but they are now, obviously. And lots of herbs and spices come from pepper and things like that, really. And it's thickened with pearl barley or oats.
In the Elizabethan time, here we were in this big kitchen. What was happening this was sort of the heart of the house for all day long. It was being used all day long.
I think that's absolutely spot on. I mean, obviously this is, if you like, below stairs.
Yes.
But though you can imagine maybe the lady of the house would come in from time to time, see what's going on, chat with the head chef.
Right.
So I think always a hive of activity, certainly from very early in the morning until late at night, the fire burning away.
Right.
And of course, over there, you've got the what I think of as like a hob, where you'd have little fires that would keep things brewing away over there. Yes.
Yes, you always are having a pot on. Something is happening all the time because you're feeding households, guests,
yes.
and breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So it's ongoing. Right. So listen, Gemma, I always ask, can I lend a helping hand?
Absolutely, yeah, always.
Yeah. What would you like me to do?
We are getting to the stage now where we need to put the pearl barley in, because it does take a long time to cook. So
okay.
We need about a cupful of pearl barley popped into the pan.
All right. Do you want me to just guess my cupful?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Just in a normal cupful. I mean, there's a cupful of onions, carrots, and swede in there right now, so you can sort of have a bit of a guess of
about a cup.
I mean, they didn't have a
no, they
cup,
didn't have.
And they
of course
didn't have
they didn't.
So we can do whatever you fancy.
Are we happy with that?
Yeah, I think that looks good. Perfect.
I do love pearl barley, and then give it
a good stir.
Give it a good stir.
And then we'll give it 10 minutes, and then we'll add the things that don't need cooking so long, like the leeks, the mushrooms.
So, prepping here, would have been busy, hustle, bustle.
Yeah.
Finish the meal. And then what's the next step?
Wow, we would serve it through our lovely serving hatches.
So we can perhaps have a look at these. We've got essentially here an in hatch to put the empty plates in, and then you load them all up along this kind of table here, which they actually called a dresser in Elizabethan times, and then it goes out through the other hatch to be taken, to be served, to be carried through and served in the Great Hall to the family.
Right, so I now understand that is the incoming. Dirty plates.
Exactly, yep.
And that's the outgoing.
Your outgoing, yes.
Plated.
Yes.
But when you were restoring the Elizabethan kitchen, were these two hatches, I mean, they were here originally, but could you see them?
So the inbound hatch, yes, that had been used in Victorian times. The outbound one, though, was bricked up. And, you know, we could just about see the outline, but it was bricked.
Right, right. But from your research, of course, you knew that there would have been an in and an out.
Exactly, yes. Well, we knew there had to be in and out. That was the way it happened in Tudor times, and a bit like the way in a modern kitchen as well.
Yeah, no, of course, of course. So this was your first big restoration project here at Athelhampton.
Yes,
and it's wonderful, and the public can come in. As I said, I've already passed many members of the public wanting to come in here. But do you have other restoration projects? You know, you've been here since 2019, so you know you're relatively new.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, obviously, in a Grade 1 listed house, you don't have that many, but we have got one other big, exciting one going on at the moment, and that is a window in the Great Hall, which has been blocked up for hundreds of years, and we are now opening that up.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. Well, I'd love to see that.
I'm sure Gemma needs your hand a little bit longer, but so I'll perhaps head off, leave you with her, and then meet you up in the Great Hall.
Perfect. Okay, I'll meet you at the Great Hall, Giles. And Gemma, do you mind if I just sort of do a little bit more? Okay.
Yeah, so the Pearl Barley's had its bit of time cooking, so now we're ready to add all the herbs and stuff, which is all chopped and prepped and ready.
Okay.
So we're going
Fantastic.
I'll give it a good stir, and then 10-15 minutes, hopefully we can try it.
And then it's lovely and thick.
That's the Pearl Barley making that, soaking up all the juice.
That is fantastic.
We'll give it a bit of a test and see if it needs any more.
Oh, it smells so delicious.
I think it's just like a really, really good vegetable stew.
It is,
isn't it?
It is, exactly.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. Okay, so leave this.
Yep. I'll look after it for you, and you can.
That'd be amazing.
I'll look after it.
Okay, I'm going to go see Giles in the Great Hall, but it smells incredible, absolutely incredible.
Excited. My belly's rumbling already.
Yeah, exactly, and perfect on a very cold day, that's for sure. At the heart of really all of these medieval Tudor manors was always the Great Hall. And Athelhampton's Great Hall, well, it is tremendous. It has been described as one of the finest examples of 15th century domestic architecture in all of England. Oh my goodness. I mean, this is a perfect Great Hall. I mean, it's intact and it's beautiful. You must tell me more because this is astonishing.
I mean, this hall is very similar to the way it would have been in 1485 when it was built. And you know, that is such a historic date. I mean, that's when the Wars of the Roses come to the end, and Henry VII comes to power. The Tudor dynasty begins.
Yes.
And you know, it lasts for over 100 years to 1603, when with Queen Elizabeth being the last of the Tudors in the second half of that.
Of course, what's caught my eye is the minstrel gallery right there.
There definitely was one there when it was first built.
Right.
But it sort of disappeared over the years, and then that one is very much as it would have been, and it is a very old one, but from another house.
Right. So when I walk into the hall, the Great Hall at these historic houses, you can always tell with the roof, the ceiling right here. But explain to me just this bit, because it's absolutely beautiful the way that it's been carved.
So yes, so this is a hammer beam roof, so called because of the shape of these beams. And it is one of the finest, certainly in the county, perhaps in the country actually. And it's pretty well original. It's really, I think, fabulous.
It is, I mean, I will definitely say it's one of the finest I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of historic houses. But looking beyond, then I can see windows up there.
So what you're looking at there, this is the kind of latest restoration project. Those windows are original. They go right back to the beginning of the hall, but they have been blocked up for hundreds of years. Yes. So we've just actually unblocked, we've taken the wood away. Literally a couple of weeks ago.
Oh my goodness!
And we're now going to put some glass in there, and we're going to put in actually, we're being a bit bold. We're going to put in laser etched glass.
But so when you arrived, 2019, did you know that there was a window there? Was it blocked up? You could tell that there was a window, or was this a later discovery?
We could just about tell there was one there, but it was difficult because there was an organ there. But the organ was removed along with the rest of the furniture.
Parts of these buildings, fabrics of the buildings, when you come to them, is so many of them have stained glass, and it's almost a lost art these days. But when you arrive at a historic house like yours and you see, here they are still intact, and I see very much the stained glass. I have this slight obsession with coat of arms. I probably need to do a whole course on heraldry, I suspect. But I love the way that you can see the impaling. And for me, my learning curve as the American who's come over and married into this family was, of course, hundreds of years ago, these noble families would then marry into other noble families. They had to. So then their coat of arms, the male, would be impaled with the female's family's coat of arms, and I can see that happening there.
Absolutely you can. I mean, for example, we were talking earlier about the Martins marrying the Farringdons, and the Farringdons had the unicorn as their symbol. And you can see that the unicorn's there in the middle of that yellow bar with the unicorns down the middle of it. And then we talked about the Martin ape, that was the family symbol of the Martins. Yes. And if you look at each of those windows, there is the ape at the top of them.
I mean, it's fascinating. What I do love about stained glasses is that they tell a story.
Always, yes, I agree.
That's what's so brilliant, and there's so many different elements to them. In each element, again, you can...
The pottage is ready.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, look, wonderful.
I was going to get it.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Wow.
Julie, do take a seat, please. Here.
This is, I don't think I've ever, I'm just trying to think. Of course I've had veggie stew before, but,
Elizabethan pottage, maybe
I don't think
not.
I've had pottage before.
Would you like me to dish it out?
Oh my goodness, that looks beautiful.
Fab, Gemma, thank you.
You're very
Wonderful,
welcome.
Yeah.
Would you like me to dish it up?
Yes,
please.
Yes.
All right, I'll just remove that. Fantastic.
Just give it a little bit, just so you can try it.
Yeah.
Okay, Giles, I'll pass these over to you.
Thank you, lovely.
Lovely.
There you go.
Wow.
Brilliant.
Help yourself if you want some more.
Okay,
I'll leave
I'm
you to
sure
it.
we will.
Enjoy your lunch.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Oh my gosh, it looks delicious. Okay. Wow.
Give it a try. Lovely. Yeah. That's great.
That is brilliant. Perfect on a cold day, would you say?
It is just perfect for it. It really is, yeah.
Oh, it is, and the spices are fantastic. The rosemary is really coming through.
Yep. Yeah. No, I think Gemma has done a brilliant job here. And I love the way all the vegetables, can be grown locally, which is just fabulous.
I mean, absolutely wonderful. I've also noticed that we are eating on pewter dishes. So this really is the full Elizabethan experience, isn't it?
It is, yes. The pot is the kind of pot they would have had, the spoon, and as you say, pewter. Yeah,
yes.
Definitely.
If you think about our kind of backgrounds, we're the new kids on the block.
Yeah. No, it's a good way to think of it.
For me, one of, I think, the most surprising, revelations is it is difficult to maintain and preserve these historic houses. And I think a lot of times people have this false narrative that we're living like they did in the Downton Abbey age, but yet what we're trying to do is we're not only preserving this part of England's heritage, but we're also wanting to put our own mark on it. Do you find that as well.
I think that's very important. And I mean, by putting your own mark, we don't mean putting up a glass extension, of course not, but it's sympathetic and harmonic with the building. And I think that's very important, but yet using modern technology where that's relevant.
Well, that's exactly where that's relevant. And that's what's so, I think, wonderful when we were just talking about what you're doing with the, the newfound window, which is of course, which blocked up for hundreds of years, but putting the laser cut glass on it.
Yeah.
And the restoration of the window in the Great Hall isn't the only area at Athelhampton where Giles is using the latest technology to revive this Tudor manor house. Athelhampton is striving to be more sustainable and economical by being the first solar-powered manor house in the country. Heating historic homes is one of the greatest challenges house owners face in the 21st century. And when Giles moved to Athelhampton in 2019, he was faced with the enormous task of heating rooms without insulation or secondary glazing. But he took on this challenge in a new and revolutionary way.
Giles, this is beautiful. And I can see we're coming into the gardens. How many acres? I always have to speak in acres as the American. Gardens do you have here?
Sure, so about 20 acres of gardens here.
Incredible.
And you've picked the most brilliant day to come, you really have. Yeah.
I do that. So Luke and I have always said, oh my gosh, Athelhampton, our neighbors, they are the first net zero, and I'll follow it up with castle, because I'm the American, and any big manor house, I always think of a castle, but this is true. You've been able to achieve something that not very many people have been able to, and in particular in a grade 1 listed house.
I think you're right, and we're very pleased to be able to do this. Yeah.
So where are we entering into right now, Giles?
So this is the kitchen garden now, and a lot of the produce for the cafe comes from here.
Fantastic. And, well, I had a delicious, I have to say, jacket potato. I haven't had one in quite some time, and I was very pleased. It really warmed me up. So
very good, very good.
Kudos to the chef. But we're now heading somewhere that is a part of this net zero project that began how many years ago?
So it began nearly 3 years ago now, actually, yes. I'm going to show you something that helped produce that jacket potato that you had.
It's fantastic. Well, but here, of course, is an enormous greenhouse.
Yes, indeed.
I shall step inside because I know it'll be lovely and warm in here.
It's lovely and warm, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, great for growing the tomatoes for the cafe and so on.
Wonderful.
Come on through here and I will show you. There, you have to duck your head.
Yeah.
There we go.
Ooh, I get to go into the no entry zone.
The no entry zone.
The no entry zone.
Exactly.
Very lucky, very lucky. You can come too, everybody.
Yes, exactly. And here we are.
Oh.
The solar panels, yes.
My goodness.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So,
this is extraordinary. This is unbelievable. And how clever that, I mean, you would never guess that these were here. I couldn't see them from anywhere in the garden. Nowhere could I see them.
They're just invisible, exactly, yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the right question to ask. Do I ask how many solar panels you have, or what are you producing? Tell me.
So these, combined with some that we have in the field around the corner, produce at maximum 130 kilowatts in the middle of the day.
Yes.
And across the year as a whole, we're producing nearly 140 megawatt hours of electricity. That is a serious amount of electricity, yes.
Is that, and that, okay, how close can you get to these?
We can come up absolutely, you can come and touch them if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
And oh, can I? Well, okay, great.
We have to do that occasionally anyway, just if they, I mean, normally they're okay, but occasionally they just get a bit dirty, so.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, yeah.
Look at, and they're warm.
Yeah, well,
they are.
Of course they are, yeah.
Lovely and warm. This is magical. Okay, Giles, I have so many questions, and I think many people watching this program will have questions as well. First and foremost, you know, you came to Athelhampton in 2019, so not that long ago.
Yes.
It was, presumably it was heated how? And electricity was the normal way, is that right?
So what we had gas tanks,
Yes.
LPG tanks.
Yep.
And that was by far the biggest source of power and we had lots of gas boilers, which needed a lot of maintenance. And then there was a small oil-fired Aga.
Yes, still have that.
Yeah, and then we had for emergencies, we had a diesel generator.
Okay.
A great sort of big beast of a thing.
Okay.
And so all of that has gone.
All that has gone.
All of it has gone. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And what was your inspiration for this project? And taking this here, and especially in a grade 1 listed house. I mean, did you know coming in, you thought, right, this is something I want to do? You had an idea around that? Or was it once you lived here for a bit, you thought, hold on, this is not sustainable. I'm going to get ahead of the curve.
It did not make sense to be burning all that fossil fuel and just really, having a kind of rather old, inefficient system.
Yes.
And why not put in something brand new that actually uses the new technologies and is zero emissions? And that 140 megawatt hours is enough across the year to cover everything we need at Athelhampton. Everything, which is the heating, the cooking in the commercial kitchen, lighting, even charging the occasional car. So no, it is great.
That is incredible. So, okay, I know that this is a silly question, but I am going to ask it because I know what the answer is, but I just want to hear it from Giles. So you do not receive any electricity bills or gas bills?
So for the Athelhampton house
Yes.
and the gardens and the cafe, we get a bill in the middle of winter and then we get money back in the summertime.
Okay.
Net, in carbon terms,
Yes.
we actually are genuinely neutral because the what we're drawing down in the middle of winter is a little bit technical, but it comes in the middle of the night,
Right.
when the grid is very low carbon.
Yes, yes.
In terms of actual money, we pay a tiny bit because unfortunately they don't give us as much back for each unit that we put back in as we buy from them.
I see.
Which, I can grumble about, but at the end of the day, it's tiny.
It's tiny compared to what we are in now, the electricity and the gas prices. It's tiny. And also your heating and lighting electricity, a grade 1 listed house, a very big manor house, and you've got your cafe.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Without this, that bill would be enormous.
It would be horrendous. And then, as I'm sure you know, then of course what you have to is you turn the thermostats right down or off.
Yes.
And then that's not so good for the fabric of the poor building.
No.
Nor for the fabric of the poor people, but that's another matter. But,
yes, no, that is, oh my goodness, it's incredible. But this, my understanding is this is just I'm seeing just one part of the project that you implemented. Is that right?
That's right, yes. So
the solar, this is all drawing it in from this beautiful sun.
Exactly, yep.
And then what happens?
So this then is going to go to the heat pumps, which is what creates the heat and the hot water to actually keep the house warm.
Okay, should we head there and
Let's
look
go
at those?
and have a look at
Okay,
those.
let's look at those.
Let's head off.
This is so clever, and especially in a grade 1 listed building and garden.
So now we're going to look at the heat pumps. And the heat pumps here are they're being powered by the solar power that we've just seen.
I see. So you've got solar power where we were just in the kitchen garden.
Yes, exactly.
Coming all the way underground.
Underground, of course.
Right,
yes,
underground, up through here.
Yes.
Now explain to me their purpose so I can get my head around
so
this.
these
This is incredible.
machines, and you may be able to feel it, they're a bit like an inverse air conditioner.
Yes.
And so what they're doing is they are yes, this one is going, you can feel it pumping out air.
Oh, yes.
So this draws in air at one temperature and it pumps it out at a lower temperature.
Okay.
And it extracts the heat from the air.
Okay, so these two are working in tandem.
Yes, well, the system, the kind of computer turns on and off as many as it needs at any given moment.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, so they're using the solar power to extract, in effect, heat from the air, which is rather clever.
Oh my goodness. This is some serious technology here.
It's good, isn't it?
This is
Yes.
very good.
Yes,
And you
so
have,
yes.
it looks like you've got sort of, what is this, 10?
We've got 10 here,
Here.
yes,
Oh,
and then there's
there's
another bank over the other side.
And you're very, very clever, Giles, because they're hidden away from view.
Well, that is essential. And I mean, obviously you can see we're very close to even the Elizabethan part, the Tudor
Yes.
part of the house, but they really are tucked away in this kind of, grotty area where we would just had dustbins or something
Right, you would have had,
before.
exactly,
So
exactly.
nobody can see them, but here they are nice and close to warm up the house.
Nice and,
Yeah.
wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so this now is heating, taking what would be discarded usually, recycling it, if you
Yes,
like,
yes.
heating, and then there's another step, isn't there? Right.
So yes, so this goes through one more kind of thing that looks a bit like a boiler, and then of course it has to come into the house.
Yes.
And in a kind of old-fashioned, say, a gas boiler, you'd be heating the house through radiators.
Yes.
And we are doing that to some extent, but we're also making a lot of use of underfloor heating, and we've even repurposed some of the old grills that were put in the Victorian era.
So I'd love to see inside then, now sort of the end product, if you like.
Yes.
It coming up through the grills
Yep.
and this heat that I've just seen that's being extracted and pumped in at no cost.
Let's come and look. Let's come and look.
Now, I have to say, I did notice these
Yes.
before when we were in here having our Elizabethan lunch.
Let's have a
But-
good look at
oh
them, shall
my
we?
goodness, yes.
So these are the original Victorian grills.
Fantastic. So these, during the Victorian period, then of course, were to heat the hall that we're in right now.
Absolutely, yeah.
Heated by coal.
By coal, like
Coming
as far
up
as we know,
through.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. And then when you came in, was this being used at all as a heat source?
They'd kind of modernized it, I don't know, 30 years ago with a very clunky old system.
Right.
And so barely working, I would say, yeah.
Right, and so that now you're piping it up through and the heat's coming up.
Exactly, so what is coming up from here is actually the heat that's being produced by those air source pumps that we were just looking at.
Yeah, fantastic. So as far as the sort of architectural design of all of this and where the pipe was coming through, that was already, the infrastructure was already there. It was, in one sense, it was replacing. Is that right?
That is absolutely true here in the Great Hall.
Okay.
But as you went through the rest of the house, in some places, maybe there were old radiators, which we could use one or two of, but mainly had to upgrade. But also, we decided on another solution in some places, which was to remanufacture these grills and put them in other rooms.
Ah, okay. Instead of having the wall radiators.
Exactly.
Much prettier.
Much prettier.
Yeah, yeah.
Giles's innovative thinking and vision is shared by co-mastermind Stefan Pittman, who met me in the powerhouse of the whole project.
So I walked through, a lot of this project that you and Giles did together. I've seen the solar panels. I've seen I call them air conditioners, but they're not.
Yeah.
But
Heat pumps, yeah.
Heat pumps, but now we're here, and so just remind everybody who's watching again. It's almost as if you're. Tell me if I'm wrong, but it's almost as if you're almost like your own electric company.
Well,
grid?
yes. So we're generating electricity from the solar panels. Okay. Now, obviously, that's only at a certain peak of time.
Yes.
And that changes throughout the year.
Yes.
And your demand changes throughout the year as well. So in the summer, for example, it's generating more energy than it usually would use.
Right.
And rather than that just be sent back to the grid, it's storing it in these.
I see.
And then when that generation declines, as that decline becomes to a level that the estate needs more, the batteries start trickling in.
Oh my goodness.
And that's how it balances it out.
And that, I see.
The first 12 months of this system up and running, it drew 9.5 megawatts of electricity from the grid, but sent back 7 megawatts.
Right.
So that's a difference of 2.5 megawatts,
Right.
which is smaller than most 3-bed semis.
Right, right.
And beforehand, you know, that was just massive, way beyond any of those numbers. So ultimately, these batteries are offering that balance.
Yeah, they're offering the
Because
best.
it's a 12-bed, significant Tudor manor house, largely single glazed, etc. I understand Giles has gone through all the upgrades we did inside the house. We've got the coach house, which is grade 2-star thatch building. Other than the thatch, there's no insulation there.
Right,
you know,
right.
There's River Cottage, which is similar. There's outbuildings and sort of all the grounds and estate needs there. And within all of that, the energy usage from the grid is less than a 3-bed semi-detached house.
Unbelievable.
So
Unbelievable. That is incredible.
yeah,
Right there.
It's quite impressive.
It is really impressive.
Yeah.
And all those, you know, sort of aspects you just said, single glazed, there's not double glazed on
Yep.
it. You're talking about
no insulation on
no
the roof.
insulation, a 500-year-old house, and same goes for the coach house, the thatched roof restaurants now. You know, the cost to heat those buildings right now without this would be astronomical.
Oh, absolutely, you'd be looking at 6 figures easy.
Yep, 6 figures, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Stefan. This is fantastic. So
Not at
thank
all.
you for taking the time.
Nice
what
to
a
meet you.
brilliant project. So nice to meet you.
How amazing to think that until 2020, 100 tons of carbon were emitted annually at Athelhampton. And the aim of this project is to cut carbon emissions to 0. Giles has, of course, made a massive investment, but what is so inspiring and also rewarding is the long-term benefit to the environment.
Now, what's fascinating for me as an American, to be perfectly honest, is that always, it seems like, you know, when you go to these historic houses,
Yes.
there's the history, the fabric, the architecture, the inside, the stories. But then, of course, you get to walk outside.
You do,
And there's usually a fantastic garden. Is that right?
Yeah, no, they go together. They really do. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you know, the English love their gardens,
Yes,
don't they?
Yes, absolutely they do.
And here, of course, I've heard so much about the gardens here at Athelhampton. So you're going to give me a tour, is that right?
I will do, yes, I will show you. Come on through here.
Wow.
And this we call it the corona. It sounds a bit bad given what we've all been through, but it's
probably
because
very popular now.
It's a crown, and you can see these little pyramids round, or obelisks forming this crown. And this is really, this small circle is the heart of the Athelhampton garden.
Fantastic. And the garden, has it evolved over the years? And obviously it has, but can you give me a little bit of history around it?
Of course, but the designer was a man called Inigo Thomas, and he was an amazing man, real thinker and designer, architect and so on. And he drew inspiration from the Renaissance, from the Elizabethan era. He drew it all together, and he had this idea of rooms, of outdoor rooms.
Okay.
So this is the room, as it were, at the heart of the outdoors. And
Right.
we can go into each of the little doorways around the edge.
Okay.
And,
Well-
and in fact, we've just come through one, which is,
Right.
where, of course, in front of the house, where you would arrive, and that links us to the house. And now, if you
So
like, we can
which
come
room
through.
are we
Well,
going to?
Let's come here to what we sometimes call the private or the east garden here.
Oh, it is stunning. Look at this. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Oh, and then you just have this fantastic view from the back of the house.
Exactly. yeah.
Absolutely wonderful. And overall, how long? Because when Matt Britton, I know our Italianate gardens took
Yes.
7 years, 1920 to 1927.
Right,
And these gardens
okay,
here,
yes.
what was the length?
So I think the initial stage, these outdoor rooms that we're going through now, were built very quickly, actually, in
Oh,
about
right.
perhaps 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And it was a massive effort. They had to shift 40,000 kind of tons of earth, which sounds an extraordinary amount.
Yes, it does.
And
yes,
indeed, they had to demolish some old farm buildings because the house had actually kind of become a farmhouse, and it was being converted back to become a mansion.
Right.
So there was lots of work, but they just really, shall we come this way around?
This is enormous.
Now, yes, isn't this amazing?
This is amazing.
The Great Court.
Oh, so this room is called the Great Court.
Great Court, yes.
Okay, fantastic. Okay.
Now these
Yeah,
these are yew.
Yeah, tell me about these
And
pyramid
well, you
yews.
see, I think Inigo Thomas put these here because if you look at pictures of old Elizabethan gardens, they often had
Yes.
yew pyramids. But now, mostly they were kind of sort of knee-high to a grasshopper. They were sort of down here somewhere or other. And of course, over the years, these ones have just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Look at this.
Yes.
And is this is their peak, or is there a potential that
To
they
be
could?
honest, I think they're now big enough.
Okay.
And if anything, we'd love to just perhaps make them not quite so big. But that's a tall order. But
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
I think
that
they're
is.
a lovely size now.
They
They're
are.
lovely. Yeah,
This
yeah.
is beautiful.
And then we made our way to Giles's favorite room, the Mediterranean garden where tea was waiting for us.
And it's my favourite because it's a bit of a sun trap at almost every time of year.
Right.
And in summertime, we might come and have a cocktail here before supper.
Sounds good.
But obviously now it's winter and we perhaps want something a bit warmer and it's the middle of the day. So we've got a cup of tea for you here. So
Sensational.
yeah. Eucalyptus.
Oh my goodness, this is fantastic.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely fantastic. I can see why this is your favorite part. This is,
Yes,
I'm
yes,
afraid I'm
yes.
gonna have to agree with you.
Yes.
I mean, I love the Great Court.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but there's just something spectacular about this tree,
Yes,
eucalyptus, and then brought us some tea.
Cup of tea, yeah.
Well,
Yes.
brilliant. Do
Yeah.
you know what? We do have the sun, and it is, when you look at it, it is
Please.
rather warm.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So,
cheers.
welcome, cheers.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Giles. What an absolutely spectacular garden. So, Giles, I just wanted to ask, now that we're sort of sitting out here having a cup of tea, relaxed, the sun is on us. You became the custodian of Athelhampton in 2019. And what was it that really drew you? Because this is a big project.
Oh,
This
sure.
is not like I'm just going to buy a large modern house and have all the modernizations, and it's much easier to restore, repair, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But what inspired you to say, right, I want to be a custodian of, a home that's well over 500 years in history?
Yeah, and I mean, you know better than almost anyone what a big project and how much is involved. So of course, but I think the answer is, I mean, it's just almost like falling in love. I mean, it is an amazing place.
Yes.
And if one's lucky enough to have that opportunity, very difficult to not be tempted by that. It
Right.
is just extraordinary here. And I think it's because it's not just that you've got a wonderful old house, it's that you've got all the amazing history, all the people who've been connected with it, down history and right up to the present day. I mean, the
right.
wonderful people who work here and who know it,
Yes.
all the visitors who come, people who've been married here, all that, and then of course the gardens, just stunning.
Yes.
So, yeah.
No, and you've put it so eloquently, because that's exactly how I feel. It's about the stories past, but also the stories present, and the community that these houses still retain, but in a different way.
Yes,
So,
yes.
when we look back 100, 150, 200 years ago, and of course in Athelhampton's case, well over 500 years ago, the community was very much tied in.
Yes,
But
that's true.
we as custodians now, our community is a much wider reach because it's the public. We're saying, come and enjoy
Yes.
what we want to share with you.
Yes,
And
yes.
it's sort of making sure that those invisible walls that were once up hundreds of years ago are completely down, and it's that shared history and story And I think that's what's so wonderful.
No, I couldn't agree more. And I think as well as physically inviting people in or allowing them to see over video and whatever, it is also about showing people the history and understanding how people lived in the past and so on.
Yeah.
That's all part of it.
Of course it is, and how we've evolved.
Very much so.
I'm thinking at one point when it gets warmer, Giles, I might have to invite myself back, and I'm going to tell you, I'm usually a beer drinker. However, because I am a lover of Italy, Mediterranean, I would have an Aperol Spritz with you. Would you do that with me next time I come back?
That sounds like a deal. It sounds like a deal, yeah.
All right, Aperol Spritz it is, everybody, the next time we return.